Hey guys, welcome back to my game Saturn 7. I've got a few updates here. I've got a screen overlay effect. So as you go outdoors in the weather and get any sort of a status effect, in this case it's like snow, freezing, it'll also update a vignette overlay. It's using a shader to transparency to bring it in and out. Does happen a little bit slow, so I'll just speed that up a bit. I've also got a nice little sun effect action happening. You look at the sun and yeah, so that's alright. So you can see the overlay of the snow builds up when you're outdoors. 36%. I probably should make that maybe a little bit stronger, but yeah, it's about right. And when you're back on indoors, it'll just slowly disappear again. So the numbers running up the top tells me, you see that snow vignette off. You can actually turn the shader on and off in a sense, or you can put it onto a holding pattern where it'll just sit there and idle. It won't actually run certain things until it starts up again. If you make the screen overlay, it's not a 2D overlay. It's actually 3D mesh, single plane mesh, with the texture shaded over it, just directly in front of the camera. That's what's yeah. So it's the only way to really get that effect. So it'll run the numbers. I've got a opening transparency and a closing transparency for each type of weather effect. So there it is there, says snow vignette off. And as soon as you run the action again, they're all actions. I've created actions instead of behavior, so I don't have to run it as much. Yeah. 53%. Yeah. So there's the sun. That's interesting, isn't it? So that's the snow one. Okay, I'm cold now. Oops, it should be blue colour. Anyway, I see my temperature on the top left. It's gone down into the low section, so now we're actually cold. And what is it? 7.7% cold. That should be blue. I'll change that colour. It's going down, so we must be warming up by default. So that blue vignette around the edges should slowly disappear. Oh, well, we've got rain, so maybe not. Probably get a bit colder now, is it? Not yet? Yeah, getting a little bit colder again. So this, so each one of these ones is a shader by themselves, and this is the rain overlay of a plain 3D mesh. So as you get wet, it creates a sort of a rain effect. So that's all right. So we've got frozen, wet, and cold. Yeah. So if you go under cover, that'll slowly dissipate. As you can see there, it's sort of disappearing. It's already gone. Alright. Probably goes away a little bit too quick, but yeah, so it comes back again, you go back outdoors, and it'll come back. Yeah. So I've got those numbers up the top right, just for visual purposes, that you can see there's actually, what is it? 3 shaders: cold, frozen, and wet. 3 different shaders running 3 different images with different transparencies. Yeah, works pretty well. Now the wetter I am in the wind, I get colder, so don't have anything to heat me up. I might have to create something like a heat patch, I think. Or do that. You select on it, and you can heat yourself up a little bit. I think that's a better idea. Now, we're losing a bit of health here. So, we do have a sleeping thing. We can get warmth of 10. See if that's enough. So it seemed like it did something. Yeah, I think we're warmed up a little bit. Is that right? 7% and falling. Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm still working on the bedding department. I'm going to have a few more statistics to tell you your current temperature. You know, the warmth bonus and all that sort of stuff. Here is radiation. Says the sun. Not bad, is it? It's not too bad. I probably should make that rotate as well. That'll be even better. So I got a bit of a vignette now with radiation, 10%. So yeah, so when I highlight it, pretty colourful, isn't it? Maybe it's a little bit too much colour, I'm thinking. But anyway, instead of yeah, so you got different conditions. You can get snow, frozen, so wet with the rain, radiated, food poisoning, and I fixed up the loading of these items here. I'll just show you in a sec. So it's 10% health condition, so it's a much higher percentage of getting sick, in theory. Yeah, and when I do get sick, it'll be much more severe. Should any time now. There he is, 40%. Okay, so this is a lot better now. So I can go highlight these, get the ammo type or the loadable type stuff by default. So you go L to load. You can sort it. It still comes up. There it is. So you've loaded that, and then you can use it by just left clicking on it. Yeah, so that works alright. Whoops, almost done. So we'll take a pill. There you go. Food poisoning. There you go. Yeah, and you can same thing with radiation. So I sort it by I load that into that. So it says I can cancel it. It's got an empty vial in it by default. If you've just used something, so I can load that in. It'll take out the old vial and update it, and now I've got radiation meds, 85%, so I can use that. That should be enough. Oh, almost. That's close enough. I'll just use a pill. There we go. Yeah, so that's working alright. It's a lot better that way. So you select the loadable item first and just L, and then it highlights what you can use it in, and then it goes like that. That's pretty good. I think that's a lot better that way. Yeah, so that's that. Yeah, and you can also just unload it if you want to, for whatever reason, by itself. Yeah, so that's alright. Okay, there's that's the same as before. Just a bit of damage. Okay, Oops. Oh. There's a little bug there. I don't know what happened there, but anyway. Yeah. Okay. So got a medicine. Can use the health. Can food and drink. Can have a drink. Oh, you got food poisoning from the soda. That's no good. Okay. Alright. So that's that. I'll just fast forward through that. Yeah, when you fast forward you don't normally see that directly, so it's a little bit jittery, but you don't normally see it anyway. I can smooth it out if it was necessary, but I don't really need to. Alright, so we've got rain again. Yeah, that's a pretty cool effect, the rain. So we've got the overlay come on. So each of these items have its own transparency, so I wanted for each of these status effects as soon as it started to be something noticeable but not too extreme, and then over time as it gets worse and worse, it gets stronger and stronger in terms of obstructing the view of the player. I think that works pretty well. The rain and the snow are different in the sense that as soon as you go under cover, it'll dissipate by itself. But all the other ones just stay according to the status effect of the player. Yeah. Yeah, so that's not too bad, is it? The sun needs a little bit of work. I've only got a collision box at the moment. I probably should have a circle around it. It's a bit more accurate. And I probably should have it to automatically increase in size up to a certain point, and then as you get closer to looking directly at it, it gets bigger. That would make it even better. Alright, so a bit overheating at the moment. In the rain. How's that possible? But anyway, so there's hot. It's going up. So it's the time of day it's a bit hot day. I probably should build into it a better cooling thing for when it's raining, actually, because it doesn't get hotter in the rain, it gets cooler. And if you're too hot, well, you can always try and take a drink, and that'll cool you down a bit. Oh, that worked. Oops, we're back up hot again. Need another drink. So you can see the overlay around the edges, the red. It'll get stronger and stronger as the player gets hotter and hotter. So you can cool down a little bit with a drink. That's all right. That works. Yeah. So yeah, that's a bit of a quick summary of a few additions updated into the game. Getting these shaders to work right took a little bit of time. Took me about a week actually. It's a bit longer than I expected. Yeah, so hot again. Getting real hot. Yeah. What else can we do to cool down? You have to get under. You have to find cover. If the weather's no good, you have to try and find a cave or a spaceship or something. That's the idea. Not be stuck outdoors all the time. Yeah. Okay. So I'll show you the code a little bit, and I'm going to put this for free on the forum as well for anyone that wants to use it in their game. Okay, so here's my game. Under the player, I've just got a folder called overlays, and I've got different things in here. So for example, the hot one, so it's just directly in front of the camera. the distance for all of the different overlays shouldn't be different. They should all be the same. That's why I found out to be avoid a few problems if you keep them all the same distance. And have different materials under each one, and just use certain code to turn them on and off as needed. I'll put this example in the forum anyway. So this is just an example. I've used a switch. I've tried to turn them off when I don't need them as much as possible. I don't know how much stuff is being turned off, because all you have to do is with these shaders is make the object that the shader is working on invisible, and it will, after 2 frames, it'll stop printing out the what it's doing. It seems to be idling or turned off, I'm not sure. But if you make it visible again, it turns back on again, so it's not entirely off. But anyway, I use a switch to turn them on off. So I use a variable to control between 0 and 100 the amount, and a switch variable name just to turn on and off. So off is 0, on is 1, and the action shader, you just select what node that you want to apply it to, what's the input variable that controls it between 0 and 100, what's the variable if you want to switch on and off. You will need that for my shader the way I've got it, and also what start and end transparency and as well as speed to use in the update. So I've got it in my game, so as soon as it turns on, I want to be able to see it immediately up to a certain point, like maybe 20%, 30% of the vignette effect, so I can immediately see that there's something going on. Rather than have it come on from absolute transparency, it'll be by the time it gets viewable, like 20 or 30%, might be a little bit too late. So I've got it to come on. So -1 is full transparent, and 0 is full opaque or fully non-transparent. So in other words, you're starting from -1 and going to 0 with the DirectX one. And so with mine, if you want it to do the same effect, then this will be lower number between 0 and -1, and the end you might have -1 if you want to fade out fully, or if you don't need it to fade out fully, like for example the rain effect. That's a very transparent vignette, and it doesn't need much to turn it on or off. So in other words, to see something, it starts approximately around 0.5 or 0.6 actually, and so yeah, so 0.4 is about 30%, viewing something about 25-30% of the vignette of the rain effect, and it turns off at -0.6. So because -1, you don't need it to go all that way to go to -1. You can't see anything at 0.6 anyway, so that's fine. And the speed, I probably should make that a bit slower, because the lower the difference between the start and end also make the speed lower, because otherwise it'll be too much. Same thing for the snow, is a little bit the same. It's not as much. I'll make that a bit slower as well. Yeah, so I'll put an example on the forum for you guys if you want, and I'll link it to the YouTube channel. So yeah, I hope you like a couple of updates I've got with the sun. A little bit on I've started work on the sleeping things. It's only just started on that. The main thing is the screen overlay effect, I guess. I was going to have a backup. I couldn't get the shaders to work properly in the beginning, and my backup was just to use 2D overlays, which you can still use. It would be sort of half alright. You could use those still. Hang on a sec. Say for example, something like that. You could still use something like that, and to make it variable, the input to match a particular variable. You can't update the transparency, but what you can do is change the size. If you didn't want to use a shader, you can use this method. You could go like -50 here on the X and 200 at the end of the X, and then using code you could squish that vignette effect closer towards normal 100%, which would be back to back to that effect using code, which should still look half alright. You'd always see the stuff closer towards the middle of top and bottom middle section of the screen, but that's alright, it's probably not too bad. That was my backup. If I couldn't get the shader to work, I was going to do that. And also with these vignettes, you can also, if you want to, you know, you can add, you can update the alpha. It's not a bad effect as well. You can, you know, you can do stuff with that as well. But anyway, I'm using the shaders. The shaders working pretty good, so I go with that. Yeah, so hope you like that. Let me know what you think. Cheers.